There's a particular kind of silence that follows you everywhere. Not the peaceful kind that comes with solitude, but the heavy kind that settles in your chest when you realize your phone hasn't buzzed with a genuine message in weeks. It's the silence of walking through crowded spaces and feeling completely invisible, of having thoughts you want to share but no one to share them with, of celebrating small victories alone and carrying disappointments in isolation. This is the reality for millions of people who find themselves without friends, not by choice, but by circumstance. You might assume these are antisocial individuals who prefer isolation, but that assumption misses something profound. The psychology behind having no friends is far more complex than simple preference or personality type. Carl Jung understood something most people miss. Loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being unseen. And when researchers study social isolation, they discover something fascinating. The brain of someone without friends doesn't just miss companionship, it actually begins to change structurally. Neural pathways associated with social cognition start to weaken. The areas responsible for reading facial expressions and interpreting social cues become less active. It's as if the mind, deprived of social interaction, begins to forget how to connect. But how does someone end up in this position? The path to friendlessness rarely happens overnight. It's usually a gradual erosion that creates one of 4 distinct psychological patterns. Each type reveals something powerful about protection, adaptation, and the fragile nature of human connection. Let's break it down.
Type 1, the betrayed, the trust shattered. They had friends once, close ones, people they trusted with their secrets, their vulnerabilities, their authentic selves. And then something broke. Maybe it was a betrayal, secrets shared that were meant to stay private. Maybe it was abandonment, a group that slowly drifted away without explanation. Maybe it was cruelty disguised as friendship. Whatever it was, it taught them a devastating lesson. Vulnerability equals pain. Psychologically, these people developed betrayal trauma that rewired how they approach relationships. Their brain began to associate openness with danger, trust with disappointment, and closeness with inevitable hurt. So it built protective mechanisms, automatic responses designed to prevent future wounds. Here's what happened neurologically. Each betrayal activated their threat detection system. Over time, their amygdala, the brain's alarm center, became hypersensitive to any hint of social risk. Now, even neutral interactions trigger warning signals. A delayed text response feels like rejection. A canceled plan confirms they're not valued. A group conversation that moves on without their input proves they don't belong. These aren't paranoid thoughts. They're learned predictions based on painful data. Their brain is doing exactly what brains do, protecting them from repeating past pain. The problem is that these protective mechanisms now prevent the very connections they crave. Think about the person who has acquaintances but no close friends, who shares surface-level information but never goes deep, who pulls back the moment they start feeling close to someone. They're not cold or damaged. They're protecting a heart that's been broken by friendship before. Their internal belief, if I don't let anyone close, they can't hurt me when they leave. But that protection becomes its own prison, because you can't build intimacy without risk, and they're not willing to risk anymore. The cruel irony? Their heightened sensitivity to betrayal often makes them incredibly loyal friends to the few who manage to break through their walls. They know how much betrayal hurts, so they'd never inflict it. But getting past those walls requires patience most people don't have. Comment if you're type 1. I've been hurt before. Type 2. The socially rusty, the practice deprived.
They didn't start out friendless, but somewhere along the way, maybe during a move, a career change, a life transition, their social circle dissolved. And they told themselves it was temporary, that they'd make new friends soon. But soon became months, then years, And now, after so much time alone, they've lost something crucial: social fluency. Psychologically, this is social skill atrophy. Like a muscle unused, their conversational ease has weakened. What once felt instinctive now requires conscious effort. They overthink their responses. They analyze every facial expression for signs of boredom. They replay interactions for days, cataloging every awkward pause or misread joke. Here's the neuroscience. Social skills are maintained through practice. The brain's social cognition networks need regular activation to stay sharp. When deprived of interaction, these neural pathways weaken. It's not permanent damage, but it creates a vicious cycle. The rustier they feel, the more anxious they become about socializing. The more anxious, the worse they perform. The worse they perform, the more they retreat. They spend days preparing for a simple coffee meetup, rehearsing conversations, predicting every possible direction the interaction might take. By the time the actual meeting arrives, they're emotionally exhausted from mental preparation. The spontaneity that makes relationships enjoyable has been replaced by calculated performance. Think about the person who used to be social, but now feels like they forgot how, who watches others make small talk effortlessly and wonders when they lost that ability, who wants to connect but feels like they're trying to ride a bicycle after years of walking everywhere. Their internal conflict: I want friends, but I don't know how to be a friend anymore. And that creates paralyzing self-consciousness. Every interaction becomes a test. They're convinced they're failing. The tragedy is they often have so much to offer. They've developed rich inner lives during their solitude, deep thoughts, creative pursuits, self-knowledge. But they can't access any of it when social anxiety has them locked in their heads, monitoring every word for mistakes. Comment if you're type 2, I forgot how to do this. Type 3, the quality seeker, the depth or nothing. They don't have friends because most social interaction feels exhausting and empty. Small talk about weather, sports, weekend plans, it drains them. They can spot insincerity from across a room. They notice when someone's smile doesn't match their eyes. They pick up on performative friendships, surface-level pleasantries, and social obligation masquerading as genuine interest. Psychologically, these people have high need for authentic connection and low tolerance for superficiality. Their brains don't get reward signals from casual socializing. They need depth, vulnerable conversations, intellectual exchange, emotional intimacy. Anything less feels worse than being alone. Here's their adaptation. After years of disappointing, shallow friendships, they developed a filter. They'd rather have no friends than fake friends. They'd rather be alone than surrounded by people who don't truly know them. And while that protects their energy, it also creates isolation. The irony is that their heightened awareness of social dynamics, developed through years of observing from the outside, makes them exceptional at reading people. They understand friendship mechanics better than those actively participating. But this X-ray vision into human behavior becomes a curse. Once you see how much of social interaction is performance, it's hard to participate authentically. They're waiting for someone who feels safe enough to risk opening up to, someone who demonstrates genuine interest rather than social obligation, someone who can handle their depth without being overwhelmed or frightened away. But while they're waiting for this perfect connection, they often appear distant or uninterested to others, creating a barrier that prevents even potentially good friendships from forming. Think about the person who declines party invitations not out of social anxiety, but genuine disinterest, who would rather read alone than engage in group small talk, who craves one deep friendship over dozens of superficial ones. They're not antisocial, they're selectively social, and their selectivity has left them alone. Their philosophy: I want to be truly known, or I'd rather be alone. And there's integrity in that.
but it also means missing opportunities for relationships that could deepen over time if they just give them a chance. Comment if you're type 3. I crave depth, not breadth. Type 4. The self-protecting, the wall builder.
They've been rejected so many times that their brain developed an elegant solution. Reject first. Pull back before you're pushed away. Expect the worst so you're never surprised. Build walls so high that no one can get close enough to hurt you. And these walls, constructed brick by brick from every past disappointment, have become their permanent residence. Psychologically, this is preemptive rejection born from chronic invalidation. They learned early that showing their real self leads to abandonment, so they developed a false self, agreeable, easy, undemanding, designed to be acceptable. But it never works long-term because it's not sustainable. Eventually, the mask slips or the effort exhausts them, and people leave anyway. Here's their pattern. Someone shows interest in connecting. Their immediate thought, they don't really want to know me. They'll discover what's wrong with me and leave. This expectation becomes self-fulfilling. They sabotage before they can be disappointed. They create tests that people fail. They interpret kindness as pity or obligation. Their hypervigilance to rejection has turned them into social threat detection systems. They're constantly scanning for signs that someone is losing interest, getting bored, or preparing to exit. And this vigilance creates exactly what they fear. People do pull away, but often because the constant testing and skepticism is exhausting, not because there's something inherently wrong. Think about the person who's been ghosted repeatedly, who's watched friend groups form around them without including them, who's been the last choice, the backup plan, the nice but option. They're not being difficult, they're protecting themselves from a pain they've experienced too many times. Their wound, everyone leaves eventually, so I might as well leave first. But this protection mechanism ensures they stay alone. Because you can't receive love when you're convinced it's not genuine. You can't build trust when you're waiting for betrayal. The most heartbreaking part, often they crave connection more intensely than anyone else. They've experienced its absence so deeply that they understand its value in ways others take for granted. But that craving is locked behind walls they built to survive. Comment if you're type 4, I protect myself. Here's what's devastating. All 4 types share the same core adaptation, social learning that connection is dangerous, and their brains, trying to protect them, created mechanisms that now trap them in the very isolation they want to escape.
Research in neuroscience shows that prolonged social isolation changes brain structure. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for social cognition, shows reduced activity. The amygdala, the threat detector, becomes hyperactive. The entire social processing system begins to atrophy from disuse, its neuroplasticity adapting to an environment of isolation. And the longer it lasts, the harder it becomes to reverse. There's also shared emotional hoarding. Without friends to process experiences with, they save up stories, thoughts, and feelings, hoping someday they'll have someone to share them with. But by the time that someone arrives, if they ever do, the stories feel stale and the emotions have lost their immediacy. Another universal trait? Heightened internal dialogue. When external conversation disappears, internal conversation becomes deafening. They replay past interactions endlessly. They rehearse future conversations that may never happen. They create elaborate mental worlds where they have the friendships they wish existed. This inner world becomes both refuge and prison. They've all also developed what looks like exceptional emotional intelligence. Years of observing social dynamics from the outside have made them remarkably perceptive. They can spot group hierarchies, subtle manipulations, and performative aspects of friendship that participants miss entirely. But this clarity is a double-edged sword. When you can see through surface-level pleasantries and recognize fake friendships, it becomes harder to accept anything less than authentic connection. And authentic connection requires mutual vulnerability, something their protective mechanisms prevent. And here's the most painful shared truth. They blame themselves.
Type 1 thinks, I'm too damaged. Type 2 thinks, I'm too awkward. Type 3 thinks, I'm too intense. Type 4 thinks, I'm too broken. But the reality is, they're not any of those things. They're just people whose brains adapted to protect them from pain. And those adaptations are now standing in the way of the connection they crave. Let's be honest about what this costs. Having no friends means carrying joy and pain alone. It means holidays that hurt, birthdays that pass quietly, achievements that feel hollow without anyone to celebrate with. It means scrolling through social media, watching everyone else's group photos and inside jokes, feeling like you're failing at being human in some fundamental way.
There's the practical cost, too. No one to call in emergencies, no references for your character beyond professional contacts, no +1 for events, and the constant performance of having a social life when you don't, creating excuses, deflecting questions about weekend plans, is exhausting. The emotional cost is even heavier. Without the mirror of friendship to reflect your positive qualities, self-image becomes distorted. You fixate on flaws, you minimize strengths, you convince yourself you have nothing valuable to offer. And this distortion becomes a lens that confirms itself. When someone does show interest, you can't believe it's genuine. Time itself changes quality. Weekends stretch endlessly. Memories lack anchors. You struggle to remember what you did last month because nothing particularly meaningful happened. Or you fixate on small interactions because they were the only human connection you had all week. But there's also profound gift in this experience. First, deep self-knowledge. Without external validation to rely on, you must discover your own identity through internal exploration. You become a connoisseur of your own company. You learn what truly interests you versus what you thought you should like to fit in. Second, independence. You've learned to meet your own needs, regulate your own emotions, entertain yourself. These are skills others never develop because they've always had people to lean on. Third, insight into human nature. Your years of observation have given you understanding of social dynamics that participants might never achieve. You see patterns, you understand motivations, you recognize inauthenticity instantly. Fourth, protection from toxic relationships. While others stay in harmful friendships out of loneliness, you've learned that being alone is better than being with people who diminish you. And maybe most importantly, your depth isn't a flaw. It's what makes you worth knowing. The sensitivity that makes superficial connection painful is the same sensitivity that would make deep connection extraordinary. You're not broken for wanting more than small talk and surface pleasantries. You're just waiting for someone who can match your depth. Here's what you need to understand. The mechanisms that protected you are now limiting you. And breaking this cycle requires conscious, uncomfortable work.
Not because there's something wrong with you, but because your brain needs new data to override old patterns. Start small, micro connections before deep friendships. A genuine smile to a barista, a compliment to a coworker. Brief exchanges that don't require vulnerability, but remind your nervous system that social interaction can be safe. Your brain needs evidence that connection doesn't always lead to pain. Practice self-compassion for the social rustiness. You haven't failed at being human. You're relearning skills after extended disuse. That's normal. Every awkward pause, every conversation that feels forced, every interaction you replay afterward, that's not proof you're broken. That's proof you're trying. Challenge the catastrophic interpretations. When someone doesn't text back immediately, practice alternatives to "they're not interested." When a plan gets canceled, resist "I'm not worth their time." Your brain defaults to worst-case scenarios because they're familiar, but familiar doesn't mean accurate. Seek communities around interests, not just proximity. Shared activities create natural conversation topics and reduce pressure. Online communities can be training wheels. Practice connection in lower-stakes environments before attempting in-person friendships. Consider therapy, especially if past betrayals still dictate present choices. You might need help dismantling walls that no longer serve you. Professional support can accelerate healing that's difficult to achieve alone. And most importantly, understand that wanting connection doesn't make you weak or needy. Your hunger for authentic friendship isn't a character flaw. It's your humanity refusing to be silenced by past pain. That's not weakness. That's incredible strength. The goal isn't to become someone who needs friends to feel complete. It's to become someone who can receive connection when it's offered. Someone who can risk vulnerability without guarantees. Someone who understands that the pain of isolation is often worse than the risk of trying again. So which type are you? The betrayed? The socially rusty? The quality seeker? The self-protecting? Maybe you're a mix of them all. Maybe you've been all four at different times.
Whatever you are, understand this. Having no friends doesn't mean you're unlovable, damaged, or failing at life. It means your brain adapted to protect you from pain. And now, you get to decide. Are these protections still serving you, or are they preventing the very connection you crave? Your depth, your sensitivity, your hard-won self-knowledge, these aren't obstacles to friendship. They're exactly what makes you worth knowing. The right people won't be scared off by your intensity. They'll be drawn to it. They'll recognize it as the rare and valuable thing it is. You've survived isolation. You've built a life alone when others crumble without constant companionship. That takes strength most people will never understand. But surviving isn't the same as thriving, and you deserve more than survival. The walls you built protected you. Honor that. But when you're ready, you can build a door in those walls. Not tearing them down entirely, just creating an opening. Just allowing the possibility that maybe, this time, vulnerability could lead to connection instead of pain. Comment below which type you are. Share this with someone who also walks this path. And this week, take one small risk. Smile at a stranger. Send a message to someone you've been thinking about. Show up to something even though going alone terrifies you. Because your story doesn't have to end in isolation. The silence that follows you now could someday be replaced by the voice of someone who truly sees you. Welcome home to the possibility of connection.